This is your host, William Robinson, coming at you guys live today with Talk, Love, and Communication. I believe that all problems, circumstances, situations can be resolved through the proper channels of love and communication. Today we have a special guest, a special couple, Larry and Donita Johnson, coming at us live from the TLC studio. We only get one life to live, ladies and gentlemen. And it's a whole lot easier with love and communication. We're going to give our special guests a round of applause and thank them very much for joining us today. So how y'all doing today, ladies and gentlemen?
Doing good.
Good.
How you doing today, Miss Johnson?
Good. How are you?
All right. You want to tell my audience a little bit about yourself?
My name is Darnitha Johnson. I am married to Larry Johnson. I am 49, originally from Ocala, born and raised.
Born and raised in Ocala,
Born
Florida.
and raised.
That's a good thing. You know, so what do you think about the things that's going on in our community today, ma'am?
I think it's very devastating because I remember when I was growing up, none of this was going on. I remember there was, a little bit of fighting here and there, but kids shooting kids, different things with domestic violence, everything that's going on is affecting our communities and it's not good at all.
I agree with that, ma'am. And likewise, so what about you, Mr. Johnson? You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Larry Johnson, and I'm married to the Miss Beautiful Donitha Johnson.
Okay.
And I am the president and CEO of Kings and Brotherhood, which is an organization that is nonprofit that fights against gun violence in our community and that is plaguing our community very, very bad.
I agree with that, sir. And that's the things, when we talk about these kind of things and these issues, I'm the type of man that believes in solutions. So as we face these kind of problems, is there any kind of solutions that you can think of, sir, that we can work on as a community?
Well, first of all, what we can do as a community, we all need to come together for number one. And we need to come together and show the youth that's up under us that we can come together. We can't go off doing it separately because they're already kids now. They hate each other as it is. And then they watch us. And they don't see us coming together trying to help them. They're already listening to this music, which is no good. And it's not the music that we listened to when we were kids. So I think that if we all come together and show these kids a different way of living and how to live and to love each other and understand that the person that you're killing, you may not have your same blood, but that's still your brother.
And also, Miss Johnson, you have an organization yourself, ma'am. Would you like to share with us and let my audience know how they can get in contact with you concerning your organization, ma'am?
Yes, it's Royal Queens Women Empowerment Incorporated. It's a nonprofit organization. It was formed off of my domestic violence I went through, so I wanted to give back to my community and form this organization to help single moms and children that are not able to buy their children clothes. I advocate for domestic violence, women, and sexual assault to make sure that they're getting treated fairly in the court system. And I also help with the homeless in the community because that's becoming very drastically now with all these high prices are going up. A lot of people becoming homeless. So you can get in contact with me on Facebook with Royal Queens Women Empowerment Incorporated. I usually network throughout the community to make myself known. So if that's how and then Darnitha Johnson on Facebook as well.
And that's great, ma'am, that you network within the community. And the unity, I talked to some gentlemen earlier this week, and they were saying how they open up their barbershop to the public, to the young kids to be able to come in and be able to have someone to talk to. A lot of times in our era when we was growing up, You know, we was taught to be strong, stop crying, suck it up, be tough. And you know, and those tough little boys grew up to be men that didn't know how to communicate.
Yep.
You know, and sometimes as men, you know, we don't want to face that as a gender. You know, we just, you know, we just think it's who we are, but a lot of times we don't communicate with our wives, and that's the problem. They may talk a little more than we do,
Yeah.
you know, but a lot of it's on us to learn the proper communications of the channels of communication. You agree with that, sir?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so let's talk about you guys. Okay. So how long have you guys been married?
It'll be a year in October.
A year in October. But if I'm not mistaken, I did me a little digging here. And I came up with me something here that I want to show you guys a picture of. I've done a little research. And I want you guys to tell me what y'all think about when y'all see this picture.
Okay.
Okay. You want to elaborate? You want me to?
Ladies first.
When I see that picture on the left of that skinny girl and that high top fade young man, that handsome man, I see two young people that didn't know anything about life. They were just looking at each other and going with looks, you know.
And that looks to me to be longer than a year ago. So tell me the story. So what was that day, the one on the left, the 1990? I'm gonna show you this picture once again. In 1990, what date was that?
That was my prom at Forest High School. And Donita was my date. Because me and her were, how the old folks used to say, coating, but we was going together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I took her to the prom.
Is that how you remember it, Miss Donita?
Yeah, that's how I remember it.
So who asked who? You asked her to go to the prom?
Oh, yes, of course.
Did she accept on the first time, or she made you sweat it out a little bit?
No, she said yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's nice.
Listen,
So
he was fine then. So
he was fine then? Well,
he was fine.
he better be fine now. You just married him.
He's sexy now.
Okay. So what's the difference in fine and sexy?
Fine is just like, oh, he looks good, you know. He's skinny, you know, he look a little good. But when you sexy, it's like, Lord have mercy. He grew up. That beard, that bald head, that man's sexy.
Oh, so you like this version, or you like the babyface version?
I like this version. He even looks different now from then.
Thought she was finna say the babyface version, but
No, I got harassed about that, so no.
Yeah. I tell y'all what, so let's get back to, I done some research, and Mr. Johnson, your father was a great man in our community of Ocala, Florida. You know, and throughout my research, I found that, you know, your father is Reverend Leroy Johnson.
yes.
He had a diner on Broadway from 1967 to 1969. He had a gas station on the corner of 200 and Pine Street from 69 to 73. And throughout these gas stations back in those days, he was a target of civil and racial discrimination. You know, do you remember some of the stories? Did he ever sit you down and tell you some of the stories and the things that he went through trying to progress in those times? And
Yeah.
tell me, how did it affect you to be the man that you are today?
Well, I'll start off like this. Like, before I was born, he told me about the diner situation.
Mm-hmm.
And the diner was on the square. And he said back then, when a white person would walk on the sidewalk and people would be standing outside his restaurant that was people of color, they would either have to move all the way up against the wall or walk in the street and not look at that white person in the face and let them go by and let them have the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in front of his restaurant on the square. And then he used to hear white people say, oh, why are apes wearing our suits? And this was before he became a pastor. He would wear suits to the diner just to do it, to open it up in the morning to piss them off because of what they used to say. that monkeys shouldn't wear suits. Then when segregation hit, the people of color stopped coming to his diner, so they wanted to go to the white people establishment like, y'all gonna take our money now, y'all ain't got no choice. But really that hurt him. He wasn't making no more money. So the only reason why he got rid of the diner and got off the square is because of they stopped coming. He wasn't making any money. So he was a smart businessman. He said, I'm finna get something now that everybody's gonna buy, which is gas. So he bought the gas station, which is still there on the corner of 200 and Pine right now.
Yes, it is.
And he bought the gas station and he ran that till about 72 or 73. But that gas station in 1970 was a target of racial and assault. They sprayed the N-word on the side of the gas station, said N-word, get off of Pine. And they broke all his windows and didn't steal no containers of oil, no sodas, no chips. They just harassed and harassed and harassed him. He told the police about it. They never did nothing about it. Then he said, okay, I can't do this no more. So he sold that and got a gas station on 40, which is Gates gas station.
And he ran that gas station from 73 to 84, correct?
Yes. And that gas station in 1974, in broad daylight, the KKK came up there in 3 trucks with cocktail bottles to throw at the gas pumps to blow it up. But he came outside with his rifle and shot one of the trucks up. Didn't shoot one of them and they left. The police came to the gas station to arrest him for protecting his station. But then when they found out the truth, they let it go, but they still didn't find out who the white people were that came and tried to blow up his gas station. And I have the police report from the police department from 1974 of that incident.
Okay, and as a son of this man, when you hear these stories and the things that, you know, your father went through, how does that make you feel, and how did it affect the man that you are today? To have the fight that you have within you, within the community, sir?
Well, what it did, it taught me a thing of purpose. Regardless of what happened to him, he never showed that he was mad at white people. He said he didn't like racism, but he said he didn't like racist people. But he still had friends that were white, but he just didn't like them people that was attacking him, because the only thing he was trying to do was work for himself, take care of his family, and to take care of the community. Even at the age of 6, I was 6 years old going to College Park, leaving out of my parents' yard to go to the bus stop, and saw a piece of paper in the yard, which I thought it was a ghost, and it wasn't. It was a KKK flyer or paper with a Ku Klux Klan person on it. I thought it was a ghost off of Scooby-Doo because I'm nothing but 6 years old.
Yeah.
And my mom saw it. I showed it to her, and she snatched it out my hand. That means that they came to our house in the middle of the night, throwing all this paraphernalia on this vehicle and in the yard.
You know, you made the statement that your father didn't like racism, you know, and that's why I try to preach love.
Yep.
You know, and regardless of what those folks done to him, he didn't like the situation. See, I'm a man of God, so I believe that spirit see spirit. See, you hate the spirit, love the person.
Yep.
Because that same person, as we all sit to this table, we all went to high school together. And none of us thought we would be the people that we are today.
You got that right.
So therefore, it's some they probably could tell a couple stories of our wild days, but we are changed people.
Yep.
So people can change, and you ask what changed about us. It's the spirit that dwells within us. That's what changed us. And you know, that's why it's important to walk in the spirit of love at all times. It's hard. If it was easy, everyone could do it.
Yep.
You know, he wouldn't have had to come and sacrifice himself if it was easy. That's why the reward's so great, because it is hard when people come against you. You know what I mean? When people come against you, and it's hard not to do evil for evil.
Yep.
Yes.
You know, we have to love someone through their shortcomings. And what I admire about your father as I read this information is that he didn't allow it to discourage him. And a lot of times in the day in our community, we get discouraged so easy and we give up. But he fought. And you being the son of this man, I see the fight in you, us as kids, and I see the fight in you, the things that's going on in our community, and you want to fight to stop these things. I seen you on the news a few times, giving interviews, you standing on the front line to address these issues. And I personally want to thank you, sir, very much for being the man that you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, we're going to take our attention to Miss Johnson. I almost said the A word. Miss Johnson.
Yeah.
And you made the statement earlier that, you started your Royal Queens Women Empowerment because of you yourself went through domestic violence.
Yeah.
Would you like to share that? What point in your life and what did it feel like and what was the point that you got strong enough to get out of that, ma'am? Because a lot of women feel trapped and they have no one to go to. So would you care to share with us some of that information, ma'am?
Yes, I was in domestic violence off and on, even in high school. I was going through domestic violence, and then I said when I was younger I would never go through that because I saw my mom going through it. But I end up being in that in high school. Then from high school, you start dating and you think people are one thing and they're something else. But when I got married, you see the signs. You see, God will show you who a person is, but sometimes you want to ignore it or try to see the best in a person. And that's what I did. I saw that in my ex-husband. I didn't like him, but I ended up marrying him because I felt like all of my friends are getting married and I didn't want to just be this single person on that third wheel. So when I did get married, the domestic violence went on until 2005. And I would say even after that, it went on until 2009, until he got killed in front of our children, because it stopped in 2005 with the physical, but it continued with the mental and emotion through 2009.
Okay, if I could stop you right there, I'd like to come and ask you a question. And it's important you said physical and mental, because there is a such thing as mental abuse.
Yes.
And I've heard people make the statement that mental abuse is worse than physical abuse.
Yes.
Would you like to explain to us the difference and how does each one of them affect you, ma'am?
Yes. Physical abuse is when somebody is constantly hitting you, battering your body, putting bruises, might be cutting, might be hitting, something like that. Mental abuse is when this person calls you every name that there is in the book. They tell you that you're not worth anything. You may be mentally abused of being called fat, stupid, you're not worth anything. So the difference between that, when a person hits you, those bruises will heal up eventually. You may have a scar. You'll forget about that. That mental, you're constantly thinking of that, and you may get married. And you may think that person may say the same thing, but they're not. But you're always on guard and triggered thinking that they're going to talk to you mental abuse and emotional. So it's so important when you go through that mental abuse or emotional abuse, you seek counseling, because in the Black neighborhood, stigmatism, what happens in the house stays in the house. That's not a good thing, because that mental and emotional abuse can cause suicide, can cause you to lose your mind, can cause you to be the aggressor and the abuser towards your spouse.
I agree with that. So how did you overcome it? What was the turning point?
The turning point was December in 2004 going into 2005. I got tired of getting beat. I got tired of it, and then I saw the abuse turning towards my children. Once he said that he would kill me and kill my children and put us in the trunk and nobody else would find us, that was a turning point for me. I said I needed to get out. And once I got abused that night and going into New Year's that day, and I saw that the pastor wouldn't help me, no one would help me, I contacted the lady that I was working for, which she became my godmother now, and she helped me get out of that abusive situation. I left with the clothes on my back, the car he was paying for, and my children. And I said enough was enough.
So that kind of reminded me of What's Love Got to Do with it? Tina Turner, No Ike, huh?
Yes, I ran just like Tina.
Enough was enough.
Enough was enough.
And what did you do, you know, when you got back in contact with this gentleman, Mr. Johnson here? You know, and y'all started to court all over again, get all those tingly feelings all over again, the lovey-dovey flat top stuff. And how was it going into your new relationship to make sure you don't do those things? Or matter of fact, Mr. Johnson, you can answer that. You know, as far as knowing the past, knowing the situation that she's went through, and she just left from coming into the relationship, how was you careful, or how did you deal and cope with the situation moving forward?
Well, the way that I was raised not to put your hands on a woman, except for, you know, but don't hit a woman, don't strike a woman, no, none of that, because that's how I was raised. Because my dad, he basically, his own flesh and blood brother did something to his wife. And my dad drove all the way to Gainesville to his house and beat his own brother for beating his wife. And then his brother-in-law did the same thing to my aunt. He drove all the way to Chiefland and put his hands on him for doing the same thing. And that's where I learned, he already told me for these incidents occurred, don't never hit a woman. I hate it, I don't like it. And then when I saw him do that on them 2 incidents, he ain't playing.
You knew what was coming your way.
Yeah. So
he did that to uncle, and uncle, imagine what he'll do to me. I'm the son.
yeah, so it's like, I knew not to do that. And the way how I was raised, a woman is supposed to be loved. They're supposed to be cared for. They're supposed to be nurtured. They're supposed to be hugged, hold their hands, massage their feet, massage their neck, stuff like that. That's how you touch them. You don't do nothing like that, because basically, in my opinion, you're a coward when you do that. So that's what I already knew. And then being with, you know, I already knew about her ex-husband at the time because of his past. But she was in that relationship and I was in another relationship. So we didn't get back together till 27 years later. So we were separated for 27 years. That's a long time. And then to come back and to have these feelings all over again, it's like she was the one from the get-go.
So it took you 27 years to lose that flat top, huh?
That's what it was. 27 years.
Yeah, you know, that's an amazing story. You know, when we talk about how people come into our lives, you know, and
yeah,
I believe that everything happens for a reason. You meet every person for a reason.
Yep.
Everything is important. It doesn't just happen by just a luck of the draw, you know. And for me, knowing y'all and we all grew up together, you know, I'm so happy and proud to see y'all. You know, y'all will be considered a power couple, you know, in today's world, you know. And it's important to have someone that's on your level, that want to do things in the community, and all the things that you guys went through. You know, you might have not have went through it, but your father went through it. You know, and he was able to tell you, so you can, if he wouldn't have went through what he went through, you may not have been the man that you are today.
Yep, that's true.
You know, and I want my audience, you know, if y'all have some problems, some situations, some domestic violence, reach out to Miss Anderson, reach out to Miss Johnson on Facebook. You know, and she her program is willing to help in the community. You know, if you are a mother and you have a son as you see going down the wrong road, get in contact with Mr. Johnson at Kings and Brotherhood Community. He's a community active. That's community. That's unity. That's everyone. Don't think that you're going to bother them or you're going to pester them. This is their calling. This is the path that God has chose for them, and they do it willfully. You know, so don't be afraid. Reach out to them. You know, they're here for us as a community. Okay, we're going to get to a part of the segment that we call Fill in the Blank. Okay. I'm going to ask a question, and you guys fill in the blank. Always ladies first. Try not to answer the same questions, same answer she answered just because she answered it. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. If you could go back to any age, what age would it be?
Around 6 years old.
Why 6 years old?
I didn't have a care in the world. Everything was easy. There was nothing about violence. The only thing I had to get up was watch TV, eat my cereal, and go outside and play in the mud and just be happy.
You wasn't playing in no mud, were you?
Yes, I was. I made mud pies and everything.
You ain't eat them, did you?
I cannot to answer that
I
question.
almost, I seen a little hesitation in
It
there.
might incriminate me.
All right, what about you, Mr. Johnson? You can go back to any age. What age would it be, sir?
I'll probably go back to when I was younger, and I had both of my parents here because my dad died in '98, and then my mom died the next following year. And it's like, for them to die when I'm age 27, that's a very young age for them to die. And it's like, then to go from 27 till now that I'm 50 without some type of guidance. And like, I had uncles and aunties that kind of helped me on the way, but that was difficult. That's why it's like, if they would have been here, I probably would have been doing the community activist work way before, instead of doing it at age 40 something.
You know, you would think that, but see, I'm quite sure you think of your parents all the time.
Yep.
So the memory of them is sometimes more powerful than the present, because when we live in the present, we have a tendency to take things for granted. You know, it comes so common, you know, to where we get so relaxed, and we have a tendency to slip. You know what I mean? I couldn't imagine living life without my mom. You know what I mean? That's a very hard thing, sir. But you turned out. The Bible tells us to train a child in the way that they shall go. And when they get old, they won't depart, sir, at 50 years old.
Yeah.
You know, okay, so if y'all could go on any vacation in the world, what would it be? Where would it be?
Ooh. I would say probably Hawaii.
What about you, Mr. Johnson?
Probably the same thing. Hawaii.
I see an anniversary in Hawaii, y'all. I got reason to believe they might be going to Hawaii this first anniversary. Okay, this might be a hard one here. Miss Anderson, Miss Johnson, your childhood crush was who?
As in TV wise or
Whomever.
oh my God. Trying to get me killed. I can't remember his name, but he was related to you. He stayed in Busby Quarters.
What did he look like?
Kind of light skin.
Somebody, Joe?
No,
Brent?
no. Oh my God, what was his name? If I tell you who he got a child from, you'll know. He plays professional football. His son does.
Oh, you talking about Vernon?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Mr. Johnson, who was your childhood crush, sir?
TV or real life?
Whichever one you choose to disclose.
Childhood crush on TV? Thelma from Good Times.
Thelma, can't go wrong with Thelma from Good Times.
No, you can't.
You know what? When you think of Thelma from Good Times, you might have been looking for Thelma when you found done this on that picture back in the day, huh?
Exactly.
She wondered why when she walking through that, Thelma! I tell you what. I'm going to let you answer first, Mr. Johnson.
All right.
The greatest lesson you learned from your parents is what?
The greatest lesson I learned from my parents is, regardless of how somebody may treat you, or talk about you, anything of that or above, stick your chest out, hold your head up, keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Because whatever they saying to you, they talking about you for a reason. And I learned that from my dad because he was always doing something. And we knew people would talk about him, but he never let it stop him and never let nobody change his decisions. So that's what I learned from them.
You know, and it's all about being focused. It's
Yep.
about knowing what you're doing, being tunnel driven. You know what I mean? Sometimes in today's world, we care too much about what others think of us. You know, think about if Noah was wondering, think about it. This man built a boat
Yeah.
when it had never rained on the earth before. I mean, everyone thought he was crazy. Probably his wife, his children, everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, look at Job, his own wife. You know, everybody. So, but when you have your direction, you stay focused, and it's all about being focused. We get so distracted nowadays with these cell phones and this all of these things, all of these gadgets that we have to keep
Yeah.
our mind off of it. You know, I always think about in Matthew chapter 4 when it say the devil took Jesus up on the highest mountain, the highest cliff, and he said he looked out and showed him all the kingdoms of the world. And I remember I heard Reverend Foster preach on that one time, old cat eye. And he put his hand over Jesus' shoulder and pointed out over the crowd. He said, look at them. And he said he got Jesus to look at all of that. He looking at all of that, but he can't keep an eye on him. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
sometimes that's how it is. You know, they feed us all this information, everything, so we looking at everything instead of keeping our eye on what's important.
Yeah.
You know, so I commend your father. I wish I could have met him. He seemed like a great man, you know, and I see some traits of you hanging around in you, Mr. Johnson. You know, you always been, even back in school, you know, we did our little things, but you always was a laid back cat. You know, you didn't have your demeanor was always calm and relaxed. You know, and you always was a good person. You know, a good person to be around at any time. You know, even the traits, the characteristics of when, like you say, when someone done you wrong, they came back. You didn't hold a grudge against them. You allowed them to come back, you know, into your circle.
Yeah.
And that's a great trait to have, sir.
Yeah, because like when we were kids, you know how we'll fight today and we playing tomorrow.
That's right.
But that's the mentality that the youth don't have today. They don't even fight.
Shoot.
There you go.
And you know, when we think about that, you know, why do you think that is?
Because the reason why I think that is because there was a big gap. A very big gap. And I would say around about 93, 94, there was a gap of training the kids behind us. There was a big gap.
And you know, when you mentioned those years, instantly I thought about the movies that start coming out.
Yep.
The Boys in the Hood, The Menace to Society. You know, television is the gateway. You know, you think about a child, what they see and interpret. I was out there doing something and my little nephew, he say, sometimes he called me Papa. Probably cause all this gray hair. But he's my nephew and he say, Papa, let's do it like that. And I say, well, what you know about that? He say, I seen it on YouTube. So what they see, they interpret.
Yep.
They believe. And that's the same thing with these movies. You know what I'm saying? They show it to us. Think about Star Trek. They had beepers, cell phones, and pagers.
Yeah.
They just show it to us in a movie before it become reality. So when reality come, that's like Star Trek.
Like you remember when we was little and we used to watch Knight Rider You remember when Michael Knight used to call Kit on the watch?
Yep.
Now look what we got.
That's right.
I never thought, like, first of all, a talking car for number one, and then he's sitting up there, Kit, where are you? On his wrist.
It was unheard of, but this technology they had,
Yep.
you know, to finish off the fill in the blank, Miss Anderson. My favorite holiday is
Miss Johnson.
Christmas.
say it again.
Miss Johnson.
Miss Johnson.
Christmas.
To my audience, I accidentally called Miss Anderson because that was her maiden name. And by us being childhood friends,
Yes.
and Miss Johnson hanging in here a year here, I gotta get a little down. I haven't seen him in a while, so it may be Anderson. But so Christmas. Why Christmas?
Because this is the only time family, besides a funeral, seems to want to come together to love each other because they sit down and eat, fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that.
What about you, Mr. Johnson?
I would say Christmas as well, because that's the only, basically, she's right, the only time that the family will come together out of the whole entire year besides the funeral.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I love when someone
uplifts someone else.
Mr. Johnson, I love when someone
I love to see another brother achieve his goal, like yourself, like you doing right now,
mm-hmm.
and go to that next level.
Miss Johnson, I always wanted to
marry my husband.
So you got everything you wanted, huh?
Everything I wrote down and God blessed me with.
It's gonna be hard for you to top that one. Mr. Johnson, I always wanted to
look into her eyes, because I can see her soul.
Okay now, this thing getting deep. I'm about to call my wife here. Tell her I love her. Miss Johnson, if I had to do it all over again, I would.
I wouldn't do it all over. Well, if I had to do it all over again, I'll let everything stay the same because it's making me the person I am today.
That's a great answer, ma'am. What about you, Mr. Johnson?
I wouldn't change nothing, because how we are now, the stuff that we went through made us strong in each other and in our organization.
So it built character.
Yes.
Miss Johnson, it aggravates me when people
Criticize other people and don't know their life story and what they're going through on an everyday basis.
well, you do. Yeah, that's a big one nowadays.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson, it aggravates me when people
Talk about other people and put people down instead of lifting them up.
Okay. Miss Johnson, my favorite movie is
Oh Lord. I would say Love Jones.
Mr. Johnson.
I would say Poetic Justice.
So y'all on some love stories, huh? y'all love it dirty, huh? Y'all on Netflix tonight, huh? Okay. When I meet someone, the first thing I notice is
Their body language, their facial. Because I'm a person, I'm a reader. Your reactions.
and it's funny you say that because, you know, this podcast is talk, love, and communication. Mm-hmm. And when people think about communication, most people think talking first, mm-hmm. hearing, but your body language, your facial expression, all those are communication skills. You know, a deaf person can read you, know more about you than a person that can hear.
Yep.
Because they study your body language, you know, your facial expressions. I remember having a certain job and they took me to a seminar and it was teaching us how to read body language. A lot of times when you go before these judges and these people in great authority, a lot of times they ain't listening to what you're saying. They're reading your body language.
Yes.
Whether your eye moving, you wiggling your nose, you scratching your ear, all of these things, and it's real. You sit in these interrogation rooms with these police officers and these detectives. These are skill sets that's been proven to be true.
Yep.
So your face expression is very, very important, ma'am, and that's a great point. Mr. Johnson.
I would have to say actions, because people's actions show more than their words.
That's right. I agree with that. Ms. Johnson, if you had to describe love in one word, it would be
God.
Mr. Johnson.
Same thing here, God.
If you could ask Jesus one question, what would it be?
Lord, when can I come home?
You ready to go home?
There's no point of me not ready to go home.
That's right. We all got my grandmother just passed away, and about the last 8 hours, she was asking, why y'all ain't getting dressed? Why y'all ain't going to the party? She spoke of the party, and that's one of the things within our family now, about going to the party. Give me 100 years on the earth as long as I still get to the party. Because it's a little work to be done here, because, in my experience, in my walks of life, I have learned that the world is just full of hurting people.
Mm-hmm.
And hurt people hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the state. Sometimes you ever wonder why someone don't know you and just despise you, just talk bad about you, just backbite you and rail you. You wonder what you don't even know their name. Sometimes we think about people on television or soap operas or something. I can't stand what the man named the Black Knight. What his name is? Y'all don't look at it either. On the soap operas,
Oh, okay.
So I can't stand him, and they take it personally. If they met him, they don't like him in real life. I'm a Miami Dolphin fan, but I don't like Josh Allen. He always beat us. I can't stand him. And some people, it gets to their core.
Yeah.
And it's like going to a movie. Jason is real in the movie theater.
But he's not real in real life.
When you walk out the movie theater, leave Jason in the movie theater.
Exactly.
Some people can't detach reality from, their thoughts,
And that's how I see how people do. It's like, that's why the Black community, when you hate somebody else, you really don't understand what inside you hate this person of color, and they're the same person as you.
I promote love. And I'm for my people. 100%. The man I was is not the man that's sitting in this chair. And I'm not blind and I'm not ignorant. The Bible tells us, be not ignorant of the devil's devices.
Yep.
And we talked before about the spirit of a man. Like you say, it was certain people with certain spirits did certain things to your family. But at the same time, your father didn't judge all people by those ignorant people with the bad spirit. You say he still had friends that were of the Caucasian race.
Yep.
That did not treat him that way, that met him as a man. And sometimes us as Black people, sometimes we get so offended if they call us the N word, but we could say the C word or the H word, and really we're ignorant to how the word even come about. We think that we are degrading a Caucasian by calling him a cracker, so to speak. But a cracker came down from the man who rode on the horse that was whipping and cracking our ancestors with the whip.
Yep.
And so he was called a cracker because he's the one that did the cracking.
Cracking the whip.
So when you call him a cracker, sometimes we are so ignorant to the things that we do. It's really trust me, the one you call it that till he know he know where it come from. So really, you're building him up, in an ignorant way. So sometimes, we carry on traditions that we learned from our grandparents and so on. But to know better, you should do better.
And this is why they don't get offended when you call them that, because like you said, they know. So like you say, it's building them up. But when they call us the N-word, you feel like that's tearing, they're tearing us down. But you have to, like you say, you have to do the research. Do they even know why they're calling you the N-word? It's something that they know they've done for so long. They know you're going to get mad about it. So that's why they continue to do it. So it's like, that's why I always tell people you have to read, you have to study your history to find out why you're saying this, why you're allowing a person to say that. It's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. If you know you're not that N-word, like you say, spread love, smile and say, okay, have a nice day. If that's how you feel.
And it's so important to have an understanding, to know who you are.
Yes.
The essence of yourself. And, I'm going to tell you, I went to anger management for 3 years. It was a year class. I'm going to say that again. I went to anger management for 3 years. It was a year class. And, I had this instructor. And she would, it was a older white lady. She was kind of wealthy. She had short hair, but in her mind, I guess she used to have long hair, and she used to always sling her head back and, and walk. And and I would find myself getting into it with her. They would show videos throughout the week, and I would spute it down. And eventually I would get back and realize I would catch myself doing like the person in the video. I was like, well, maybe I do have a problem. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the lady gave me a scenario. She said, okay, class, I want everyone to, you know what? I want everyone to know that Robertson is a chair. So I'm looking around at everybody, a chair? What's wrong with this lady? I said, a chair? She said, yes, a chair. Robinson is a chair. She said, are you a chair? I said, no, I'm not a chair. She said, neither are you a son of a B, neither are you an a-hole, neither are you an MFer, neither are you any of these things that people call you that you feel like you have to respond to.
Yep.
And that's so elementary, the whole scenario, but I got that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got that. So therefore, who are you? Who are you to say whatever you feel about me and it affects my day? And she told me, she said, you get to decide your day. Nobody gets to decide your day. You decide whether you're going to be happy today, sad today. It's your decision.
Yep.
I laugh about that because today, and I know there's nothing but God ordained, because I'm going through situations or whatever at work. And I went home and I do live videos sometime. And I said, you are in control of how you feel. Don't let anyone take your joy. Because once they take your joy, they control you. You have to keep going, stay tunnel vision, and not worry about what people say. Trust yourself to know that you are in control. So I have to laugh because, like you said, she called you a chair. But you have to know who you are. Yeah. God is in control of you, but you on this earth, you're in control of how people treat you. You could be with them or not be with them. It's your choice.
That's right. That's right. And then sometimes it's the simplest things. 100 people could tell you the same thing, and then one person said another day, and it's like the light come on. Mm-hmm. And when we think about people, in these movies, remember the movie The Matrix?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when Neo was the one, so he's Jesus. Morpheus is God. We're gonna find the one, Jesus. The agents is the devil and the demons.
Yep.
Okay, so the devil go into a person. Neo know that it's a spirit. So Neo shoot the person die, the spirit leaves and go off to the other next person.
Yep.
And see, and that's the same thing we have to understand. When we get mad with each other, if I hurt you or you hurt me, I'm hurting you. The spirit that caused you to do that, just going off to the next person.
Yep.
You know, so it's about spirit, and spirit don't die. You conquer him with the word of God. When Satan came and tempted Jesus, if we say we Christians mean a follower of Christ. So if you want to be like Christ.
Yep.
So when the devil himself tempted Jesus quoted scripture to him. But you got to be careful because the devil quoted scripture back to him.
Yep. He know the Bible as well.
So he had twisted. But
was an
see,
angel.
that's right. That's right. You know, I seen a thing on Facebook the other day. You know, it's so funny. It was the archangel at the gates of heaven, and the devil showed up and say, the angel asked him, "What are you doing here?" And he say, "I identify as an angel." The devil said, "I identify as an angel." You know, that's what the people identify as this, as that.
Yeah.
You know, God made you who you are. You didn't get to decide whether you was going to be born a man. Neither did you decide whether you're going to be born a woman.
Exactly.
You know, we didn't get to decide these things. So I believe that God made us who we are. He made us perfect.
Yeah.
He made us who we are to be. You know, the same things, that anger that I used to have, he didn't take it away from me. I just used it for him. I'm just super aggressive for God now. I stand firm in the face of adversity and fight for him. You know, when he instruct me now and he speak to me within my spirit, I push forward. You know, that when we was off the air, your wife asked me, how did I get started into this? And like I say, I just done 18 years in prison. You know, in my last 3-4 months, as I was fasting and praying, you know, the word podcast kept coming to me. To me, it's like a whisper. It's like I can't sleep. He just say the word over and over, or the scripture, whatever the case may be. And I had no clue what this was, you know, and I've been fighting. It took me 1.5 years to get to this point. You know, I fell and I broke my leg and I couldn't walk, and I laid up in that bed and I studied YouTube or whatever else I had to study. You know, but I'm to this point because of obedience and sacrifice. You know, we're going to open up another segment. This is called AMA. Ladies first, Ms. Johnson, you ask me anything.
As you're seeing us now, as me knowing you when I was younger, did you expect me to be in this type of person?
I know how we was raised. You know, Miss Sandra didn't play.
No.
You know, so you was raised properly. You and at the time we done things because, you know, you tell a kid, don't wash them dishes. You allow them to come home and the dishes be washed. It's just the rebellion that's in us because at that point in time we have no Jesus. And you know, once, like myself, you found Jesus, you know, of course I expect this out of you. You know what I mean? But also you was raised right. Your morals, your values, and your integrity was in place. We just rebelled as children. We all go through our phases. Sometimes we have to touch the stove. But you know, you was never a mean person. You always had your integrity, and when people wasn't looking, you still done the right things, you know, because of your upbringing, I believe, ma'am. Mr. Johnson?
Whoa, it's a lot. This is a lot. We have touched everything.
Anything, you asking me anything. AMA, ask me anything.
With you, you know how we were. Did you know when you had that Forest High School jersey on the bus, that you would be doing this right now? Or something, or a comedian, or anything?
No, I did not.
So what was you thinking on that bus? What you had goals after you graduated? What was you thinking?
Well, to be honest, on that bus, you know, the girls, what you talking about? The track team bus or the football
The bus coming from home. Cause y'all used to wear the jerseys on the bus when we get dropped off.
Yes, yes. You know, I'm a type of person, I'm a very focused person. And whatever I'm into, I'm very much into. And it kind of consumes me. So at the time, I'm thinking about winning that football game. You know, probably chasing some little girl. That's, you know, to do whatever need to be done. And make sure I play good on Thursday or Friday night. You know?
Okay.
All right, Ms. Anderson, you got another question?
Do you think all marriages are perfect?
No, I do not. I believe that all marriages are ordained by God, and I believe that we should fight for our marriages. Mm-hmm. You know, you mentioned earlier your first marriage. You know, the signs were there,
Yes.
and you married for the wrong reason. Mm-hmm. And I believe that even though you may have married for the wrong reason, you have to give it a shot, because people don't understand when we get married, we want to invite all these people. You making a vow to God.
Yes.
They're just witnesses.
Yep.
You know, but God don't need a witness.
No.
You understand what I'm saying? And so the vow is important. And you know, but the Bible speaks of, you know, the Bible says that in the beginning it was not so for man to divorce a woman. He said, because of the hardness of your heart, I gave you divorce. He basically gave him a way out. You know, the children of Israel in the wilderness, and you know, it supposed to took them 40 days. It took them 40 years to get there.
Yep.
You know, and sometimes we go the long way. You know, and I believe that, I don't believe all marriages are perfect, but I believe that's what love is. Mm-hmm. Loving a person through their shortcomings is choosing to love them. Even though I know our wives know we got bald heads.
Yeah.
You know, my wife tell me all the time, oh, when you had that afro? Oh, that afro? I'm like, what about the bald head? What about that? Yeah, baby, I love you, but the afro. You know, so even though she would prefer the afro, she gotta love me anyway. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't want this hair on my face. She likes it. But I don't have to look at me. I already love me. It goes back to what she was saying earlier. Yep. I love me no matter what. Mm-hmm. If it was up to her, she would cut her hair. But I don't want a short haircut woman. I don't like that. So she do it for me.
Yep. So
doing the others you want done. If I'm seeking to please her, and she's seeking to please me,
yep,
everybody's happy. But understand that she don't make me happy. My happiness comes from within. If I'm looking to her to make me happy, if you're depending on someone else to make you happy, you're going to be in a bad, you know, that's a bad place to be in.
You're going to be miserable.
You know, they can add on to your joy.
Yeah.
You know, I have a saying that I say, I care, but I don't care. You know, that makes sense?
Yeah.
What does that statement mean to you, sir?
That statement, I care, but I don't care. It's like, I care, but when it boils down to it, I got to worry about my happiness.
That's right.
And what makes me happy. Because if I don't look out for me, who gonna look out for you? And that's how you got, I mean, like, your friends, even your family members, mm-hmm. They're not gonna look out for you. They're gonna look out for themselves.
If I made the statement, family don't always have to be blood related, what would you say, ma'am?
That is true, because sometimes family could be your worst enemy, and a total stranger will come out and see you on the ground needing a glass of water and will give it to you, and your family will pass by and say she could get up and get it herself from someone.
Mr. Johnson, why do you think that's so?
Because it's like nowadays, that's the mentality. see how I was raised. I was raised with a lot of brothers and sisters. And then,
Your parents had 9 children, correct?
yeah.
Did your homework.
He did his homework. So he was instilled in us to look out for one another. And you know, back then, before 1986, before they came up with this child abuse law, you gonna look after them. If not, I'm gonna look after your behind.
You better believe it.
So that's how they got it. And then when we meet people, my daddy would say it just as clear as day. They may not be your blood, but they still your family. They still related to you. So you got to look at that person as your family member.
Okay, Miss Anderson, when you think about family, what's the first thing come to mind?
Love,
Love.
because you're supposed to love your family, whether if they're down, out on drugs or, you know, doing something, you still love them regardless, because you never know when you may end up in that position and you want that same love that they're desiring.
I agree with that. And what about you, Mr. Johnson? If you had to describe family, what would be your definition?
Love, because family love is unconditional. They're supposed to love you no matter what.
You know, in one of my previous clips, I talked about unconditional love. Do you believe that unconditional love exists?
Yes. Because I have unconditional love for my wife.
I can have unconditional love for my husband, but some people will put conditions on love. If you go buy this for me, I love you forever. You putting a condition on it. Why
Yeah.
can't you say, you go buy this. I've already loved you, but I love you more. But see, you're still putting conditions on it. So you have to love that person unconditionally without them buying you something, without them doing something for you. You giving all your love because that's supposed to be within you.
Right. Which one of you guys is more prone to tell the other one I loved you first? Ladies and gentlemen, the look that he just gave her, that's the look of I can't even find the word. That's the look of searching. He's searching. Well, should I see which way did he go, George?
Yeah, which way did he go? That's what it was.
I think we both do it. Because, like, if he's at work, I'll get ready to hang up, he'll say, I love you, or I'll say it. So we both do it because we're that type of people that we want to hear that. You know, even though I know you love me, but it's good to hear too. So I think both of us do it.
You know, when I open my eyes, the first thing I see, I mutter Jesus. And I instantly say, baby, I love you. And that's so important because, and I understand that I love her the way I do because of Jesus. Mm-hmm. You know, because without Jesus, I'm just a big little boy that was on the bus.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And I truly understand that. And you know, my auntie would always say, all right, if you cherish it, my first daughter was born. If you cherish her, God will take her from you. You know, and you know, when I think about love, you know, when you young, when you was dating her as a kid, you thought that you loved her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It might have been more lust than love. Lust is love back then.
Yeah, it was.
Because men are hunters. We are visual creatures. We see it, we want it, and you may grow to love her, but right now it's lust.
Yep.
That's why my mom is a pretty lady. I used to chase them jokers away from there. You know what I mean? Once I got big enough, I understand what's going on around here. And you might grow to love her, but right now I know what you want, and I'm getting you away from her.
Yep.
You know, it's important that we love, you know, and we share the love. And, you know, and I encourage you, you know, you know, beat her to the punch. You know, sometimes my wife go to work, and I inside of her lunch bag, I would pack her lunch sometime, and I would put a hangman note in there. And she got to solve the hangman note. So all day she at work, she's trying to figure out what the hangman note is. Sometimes she get it, sometimes she don't. You know, but it's the little things, you know. And we wonder, just because a woman do the big things, that doesn't mean that she love me.
Yeah.
Because she cooks for me, and she don't take money out the bank, and she keep a clean house. Those are the things that's her integrity. That's what's instilled in her.
Yeah.
Because she's going to do that with or without me. It's the small things. And with that being said, tell me a few of the small things that your wife do for you that lets you know that she loves you.
Sometimes I have to be to work at 5:45 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
She ain't got to be to work till 9 or 8. But she gets up and fix me some breakfast to either eat it there or take it with me to eat it while I'm at work.
You a sausage man, a bacon man, or a ham man?
Sausage man.
I'm a sausage man, and I think I like the sausage because it's more.
Yeah, and then it's like, and she know how I like it. She'll put it in the pot, let it boil a little bit, then she'll pour the water out, and then kind of let it get, you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're
Bigger the
saying.
best, boy. I've been
I
eating
know
it.
exactly what you're saying.
And she make it just like my mom.
That's right. That's right. Okay, ma'am. Tell him rather, one of the things the little things that he do to let you know that he loves you.
If I have a trying day at work and I just want to vent, he'll let me vent. But I would say on Friday night, I didn't even have to ask him. I didn't even tell him my feet were hurting. He got the lotion and he went to work. But what Mr. Johnson did, he said, okay, I'm just going to do the feet. And I'm looking at him like, you need to go up a little bit higher. The legs hurting. He did one. I'm like, you not done. Get the other leg. You can't treat one without treating. So when he hit them hips, I knew it was love because I was like, oh, Jesus, it hurt, but keep going.
Yes,
So it's the little things.
Yeah, it's the little things, you know, and it's so important to keep it, you know, as I encourage y'all, even though we are the age we are, you know, you guys are young in your marriage. And, you know, every day is not going to be like today. Mm-hmm. You know, I interviewed a couple that we may know, Greg Hope and his wife, Tangerine Hope.
Yeah.
And they've been married for 31 years. You know, and he made the statement, you know, every day you're not going to feel that love. You're not going to feel that special love. It's going to be days where he come home, you heard that you set the lotion as a hint, he ain't rubbing no feet today.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? I seen a clip where Michelle Obama say for 10 years she even like Obama.
That way. It be
You know,
that way.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What if she would have given up, but he was driven? You know, when a man is or a woman is purposely pursuing their dream or their vision, you support them. You know, they're not going to always be there to cuddle sometimes.
Yeah.
But you have to, if you know you in it for the long run. I tell my wife, sometimes my wife, you know, this kind of consumes me. You know, for my audience who don't know, you know, I had a surgery, you know, on my spine, and, you know, and I'm kind of, you know, I'm disabled to some degree. And my wife, you know, sometimes she tells me, well, honey, you bringing it in the room. But this consumes me. Like when this is over, you know how many clips got to come from this? You know how much editing has to be done? So this is like a job to me.
Yeah.
And it consumes you, and, you know, and it's like, well, I said, well, baby, I'm doing this for you. I want you to have a better life. I want us to have a better life. So I'm doing it. And when you know you're doing what God told you to do, you got to believe in it.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to come to you. It's not going to get done without you. You know, so I encourage you guys, you know, to fight through the hard times and remember the flat talk. You understand what I'm saying? Remember that the old relationships, you know, I may be upset with him, but he's nothing compared to the other one.
Yeah.
Or I may be upset with her, but because Donita never had I don't know what happened behind closed doors. She's never been a foul mouth and things like that. You know, she never was, you know, aggressive and, you know, and she just was raised different.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And you know, some women today, you know, everybody has their own opinion. Everybody feel like I can say what I want to say. There's no respect for each other, you know, and it's not our fault. You know, nowadays, you know, people get upset when you say the things and put things in the order that God put them.
Yeah.
God made you a man. He made you the ruler. He made you the authority figure. It's not my fault that I'm a man and my wife is a woman. That's the way God made it.
Yeah.
So don't get upset with me. Get upset with God. But that doesn't mean that I abuse my authority.
Yeah.
You know, you love her and cherish her. And now y'all talking about the lotion. I got a little tip for you. They got these little massage machines here. You got like a bunch of little tips. You got the balls, all these little tips, and you know, you plug it up with your charge on your cell phone, and it might be your anniversary gift. I might have to get that for you.
Oh, okay.
But don't need it goes both ways now.
Okay.
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
Because see, the thing is with people these days, and I would say some people like the male youth, about not having a father figure in a home, they're not learning how to love a woman.
Right.
Because they're not seeing it. They're just seeing their mom. And that's why now we have all this duplicity in this world where men now have forgotten their roles, just as sure as women have forgotten their roles. And that's why we have this duplicity. And it's like with me and you, we never forgot our roles as men.
That's right.
She has not forgot her role as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
These women are like now more boastful. I don't need a man. I don't care to have a man. I can do it by myself. That's not how it's supposed to be.
You know, I have a lady that was, you know, I was speaking with, and she was talking some things over with me, and she have a thyroid problem.
Mm-hmm.
So she a woman that has a little more weight on her than she would like, you know, and she's insecure about that. But she have a husband that loves her, that's not ashamed of her, put her picture up every time. I mean, he loves her.
Yeah.
And I had to explain to her, you have women that she think is beautiful, single, no husband, no man, go to bed every night by themselves, no one to cuddle at night, no one to rub their feet when they have a hard day, no one to get up and cook breakfast for. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to look at what we have. You know, she wants something else, but there's so many people. You have a husband that loves you, that would do anything in the world for you. And this woman that you think is beautiful because she may wear size 6 or size 5 or whatever the size is supposed to be, and you think that she's beautiful, it's all up front. Mm-hmm. It's all, but she's miserable inside. She's not happy. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm quite sure, Miss Johnson, you know, when you was going through your abusive stage, you know, you had to put on a lot of faces for a lot of people.
Yes, I did. A lot of masks. Smile, you know, try to fix myself up. But at the end of the day, I was broken and black inside. I hated myself. I did not love myself. I tried to kill myself because I felt like that it was just nothing there for me. You know, the person already broke me down mentally, emotionally, tried to scar me up more. So it's like, no, I didn't feel beautiful. And I would always see women, even when we first got married, I would always ask him, why are you with me? You know, why are you with me? They used to call me Big Bird Olive Oil. Then I got married, gained weight from the stress. And then I'm at this point in my life. And I was like, there's so many other beautiful women out there. Because at that point, I didn't know what I possessed. Mm-hmm. But he always told me, I only see you. I love you. You are beautiful. You have to own it. And I used to get on my nerves. You got to own your beauty. Everybody else see it, but you don't see it.
Because she didn't see it. Because even my cousin, like, she didn't even met her yet. And I posted a picture on Facebook. And I think she called me a month later just to call and say, Larry, who's that you put on your page? I said, that's Donita. That name sounds familiar. Then I had to go back. I said, do you remember the prom picture that was up in my mom and them house when you walk in the living room to your right?
Hold on a minute. Now, if I'm not mistaken, all of these 27 years, this prom picture been sitting in your mama house when you look to the right.
Yeah, that's when, like, we was broken up in the high school.
Mm-hmm.
Now listen to me now. We was together from February, March, April, May, and we broke up this third week in June.
He dumped me.
You remember the dates and the months.
Yeah. So that was in 1990. I was in 11th grade. So I goes to the 12th grade. My mom just took the picture and just put it up there. That picture stayed up there. My mama died in 1999. That picture was still up there. Everybody seen her face, but couldn't put the face with the body. And then when I told her, she was like, oh, that's the one that auntie liked. And it's like everybody in the family knew that's who my mama liked. So when my mama died, and she had shingles all on her hands and stuff, so we had to put gloves on her hands. Because my mama always used to say, don't never let nobody see what you've been through. So we even took that with her body in the casket. Mm-hmm. So we tried to put the ring on, and the ring wouldn't fit. So everybody looking at each other, give it to Larry. He already got daddy stuff, so give him the ring. So I've had that ring since 1999 and been through other relationships and never gave it to nobody until I got back with her and I said it would be apropos for you to get mama ring since everybody in the family know that she liked you. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. I asked her to marry me and I put that ring on her finger, which is my mom's ring.
Okay, I want you guys to look at the screen. Would that be the ring you holding in your hand there, sir?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Miss Johnson, what do you remember most about that day?
I remember him saying, we need to go somewhere. And I'm like, where do we have to go? I'm already tired and cooking. So he said, well, just put on some clothes. First thing, he said, you gonna wear that? And I'm like, we just going out for a few minutes. So he blindfolded me. He had my youngest son in the car, and he drove. And he was like, you peeping? And I'm like, no, come on, take me where we're going. I'm ready to go back home. And we pulled up in front of a building. I knew that. And he led me up some stairs. And mind you, I just had knee surgery, so I'm scared. And I'm not really trusting him to lead me up these stairs at the Appleton Museum. So when I got up to the top, and I kept hearing my son say something, I'm like, what is going on? And then he said, take it off. And I took it off, and I saw him on my knee, just like Prince Charming and Cinderella, asking me to marry him, something I had been wanting for years. Even though I married somebody else, I still wanted this man to do it.
You know, it don't been a, but you don't pull a couple power moves in now. You might have a little baby face in you after all, huh?
Yeah.
You know, the one where you said, you know, what I got most, one of the things that I believe that will stick with me after this interview is that you told her her beauty and you said you have to own it.
Yeah, she do.
And that's so important. You have to own it. I can believe it. I see you as a star, but what do you see you as? And until you properly love Donita, you won't even allow Larry to love you the right way.
Yeah.
He's trying to love and you standing, what you want with me for? What you want with me for?
Because it's like I said before, my cousin in Fort Lauderdale remember, but she said the one on the picture was skinny, but her face, she couldn't see her body because it was like a headshot. So she said her face kind of puffed. I said, yeah, because she thick now. And then she was like, oh, okay. And she was like, so that's her. That's the one Auntie used to like and talk about. I said, yep, you got her back, huh? And I said, yeah, I got her back. Tell me, well, you need to tell her this. I said, tell her what? Tell her stop being that way. I said, being what way? She taking them pictures like she don't want to take pictures. And she acting like she don't look good. Hell, I wish I can look like that. So then it went from Fort Lauderdale, it went to Chiefland, everybody, all my kin people talking about her, how she looked, but she never could see it. And it's like, I'm not ashamed. Like, I had got to the point where I had people saying, oh, you breaking the man code. I said, the man code? What the world is the man code? You don't be, you posting Donita on your page for what? We don't do that with our wives. I said, I'm not y'all. It's like, even though it's my account that's attached to my phone bill, I can do everything I want to do on Facebook. If I want to post my wife in my story or on my page, that's my business.
And see what it is women, life is it's a competition.
Yeah.
You know, that's why a woman could look at another woman and say, girl, where you get that skirt from? That skirt look good on you.
Yeah.
You know, no strings attached. It's acceptable. But I can't tell you, you know, Larry, boy, but that shirt, you know, I will sometimes, you know, I'll be like, but that shirt, you got a little sport in that shirt, that boy got 1 and 3X.
Yeah.
You know, me. But, you know, I'm a little different.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you think, I'd rather be me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd rather be me over anybody in the world. And, you know, and it boils down to confidence. And a lot of times, women look for different things in men than men look for in women. You know, a lot of times, you ever seen a very, very beautiful woman with a rough-looking fella?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you be like, how in the world he got to have some money? Something got to be going on. And you know, and I remember my mom was with someone, and I said, Mom, don't you know such and such? He ugly. She said, yeah, but he make me feel good. You know, it's about how they feel.
Yeah.
You know, and the encouragement that you make them believe in themselves. And it's important, you know, if this young lady being your wife, that you make her understand how you view her.
Yeah. I see her as like top shelf. Like, I put her on a pedestal where she didn't even think she was worthy to be on the pedestal. But that's how I saw her, because it's like, it even went to as far as like, why is he with her? Why is he, like, this is female talk now.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, why is he with her? Da 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 da. Oh, her stomach ain't snapped. But then they say, oh, her butt is fake. And it's like, she ain't even have no surgery. But it's like, y'all want to talk and say this, that, and the third, but y'all the one that's having surgery. And nobody ain't even, it's all natural over him.
And not only that, why he with her? So you think that I should be with you?
Yeah.
Okay, but you may be had surgery or whatever you may have. Your stomach may be flat, or you may be, but you don't know. You got some men don't like nothing but a big woman.
And I like it natural.
A natural woman. I want to, you know what I mean? Whatever you feel, you want it to be what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and the bottom line, at our age, man, you know, beauty is going to come and go.
Yep.
You know, none of us, you know, look like we looked 30 years ago. Nobody looks like they did 30 years ago. Even the movie stars, they got all this money. You can still see the age on them. It catches them.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, you know, and it's the person. You love the person, the inside.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, as you mature in age, you know, nowadays you have some older people that's still young-minded.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they are.
You know, and that's, to me, that's one of the problems in our world, that the youth don't look up to us because all the older people want to be like the young people.
Yeah.
So that's where the problem comes in at. You know, you're not, you still haven't mastered the art of being a woman.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the problem. You know, we have to come together.
And like the youth, like with the boys, they don't want to live to get old. They can't see that far. We did, because we saw older people when we were younger. But this young group, they don't see that. And then these women, they want to be like the Cardi B's and the Nicki Minaj and stuff like that. They stuff that they see in front of them.
They want to be someone not themselves.
There you go.
See, be yourself.
Yeah.
I don't want to be nobody but William Robinson.
Yep.
Old school Big Pete. I'm fine with Big Pete.
Yep.
290 pounds, shirt off at the beach. I'm fine with it. I love me.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? And you know, it's about unity. You know, but I want to get back on the point of the love that we all have in the community.
Yep.
You know, in all people. You know, I'm not ignorant enough to doubt that racism exists, prejudiceness exists,
Yep.
but it's on both sides.
Yep.
Yes.
Some black people is just as bad as white people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, even myself, I have little biases, and I have to ask myself, well, I know I'm not prejudiced, I'm not racist, you know, but why do I think like, why do I would rather this over that? You know,
Mm-hmm.
why? You understand? Why would I not never choose this, but I would choose that every time? You know, and sometimes we unconsciously do these things, but you know, we must self-examine ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but continually to walk in love. One thing I've always done was met a man as a man until he showed me otherwise. You meet a man as a man, not a white man, not a black man, not a Mexican. I have met loyal people in all races. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, like you say, our own brother will harm us. Like your wife say, our own family member will walk over us,
Yep.
look the other way. But a stranger may help us. You know, so we must continue to walk in love. To me, love is sacrifice.
Yep.
You know, if you're not willing to sacrifice for the next person, for anyone, how could you love them? God said, how can you love me who you can't see, but hate the brother or the sister that you can see? So, you know, and we all believe in God. We say we do. So God is a spirit. He breathed his breath of life within us, and we became a living being.
Yeah.
So he say, man was made in our image. It's the spirit that lies within us. You know, but Jesus said every man must be born again. So we're going to thank the Lord that we all came back to our senses.
Yes.
Yep.
And another thing I would take from this is the lesson that your father taught you. Even though the enemy come against us, don't become like your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
If he'll hang me and I shoot him, what makes me any better than him?
You're not.
You know, the Bible says that he that is in me is stronger than he that is in the world. So therefore, either I'm going to act like him or he going to act like me. If you can make me start cussing and fussing like you, they don't know who the Christian is.
Yeah.
But if you cussing and fussing and I'm humble, I'm walking in the fruits of the Spirit, I'm being meek, they going to know the difference. So we must walk in the spirit of love. So Ms. Johnson, I want you to first look into this camera right here, ma'am. Okay. And I want you to share any last words with our audience. I would like for you to touch once again on your organization, ma'am, and speak on that and the ways that they can reach you, ma'am.
Okay, my organization is Royal Queens Women Empowerment Incorporated. You can contact me on Facebook as Royal Queens Women Empowerment Incorporated or Darnitha Johnson. Ways you can help the organization is by donating items as in blankets, snacks for the homeless, school supplies, gently used clothes for the women in the shelters. And then also what I would say to you guys, to love each other. Don't hate your neighbor. Don't hate your fellow sister and brother. You never know what someone is going through in life. Uplift them each and every day. Don't speak ill upon them, because you don't know if that's God's anointed, and God is going to protect his child. So when you speak ill about them, then you're basically cursing yourself. You know, keep going in life. Never give up. Know who you are. Love who you are, because you got to love yourself before you can love anybody else. And keep God first and always show love.
Amen to that. Mr. Johnson, would you like to look over my shoulder into this camera and give my audience any last words, sir?
Well, you can contact me through Keys and Brotherhood or Larry Johnson on Facebook. And my organization is the fight against gun violence that is plaguing our community, not only in Florida, but all over the United States of America, and to uplift these kids that are in our community. And our motto is, and we always say this, we strive by lifting others. And then if you're not doing it for God, who is the sole purpose, who are you doing it for? And love each other. And don't stop loving each other, because love is all that we have.
I agree with that, and I want to thank y'all for joining us, and I want my audience, my guests, to give y'all a round of applause. I thank y'all very much for coming today, and it was my pleasure having you. And to my guests, this is William Robinson, your host, and I want to thank y'all for joining us today. I want y'all to reach out to this power couple here, Donita Anderson and Larry Johnson and Donita Johnson. Once again, I did that. My childhood friend here. Her organization is Royal Queens Woman Empowerment and Kings and Brotherhood. If you have struggling kids that's fighting to find their way, and you think they're going, see, we have to stop it while it's early. Stop the violence while it's early. When you see the signs, get them help. Reach out to this brother. Reach out to this man in our community that's willing to help us and bring us and unify us as one. And I want to thank y'all. Y'all can be reached on YouTube at Talk Love and Communication Podcast, Facebook, TLC Robinson, TikTok, Talk Love Communication. We only got one life to live, ladies and gentlemen, and it's a whole lot easier with love and communication.